Alright, welcome. Today I'm going to test out the TB-30 Epsilon by Sukara. It's a two-seat low-wing single-engine military trainer created in France. This rendition of the aircraft is created by AzurPoly, and I bought it originally through Orbex for VATSIM 2020, but recently it got updated for Microsoft 2024 with some minor updates. So with this nervous pilot with shaky legs, we are going to fly IFR from Santa Ana and John Wayne in the southern SoCal district in southern California, down to San Diego, even further south on the border to Mexico. Since this is a military trainer, it's a two-seated aircraft with a pilot in front and a place for the instructor in the back. And as you can see, today we are flying from the first seat. The aircraft is nicely modeled with a lot of instrument in the cockpit. But when you look at the wings, for example, you can really see that a lot of the details is in the livery itself. So there are some low textures around here. But you don't see those when you are flying, and the flight physics and the handling of the aircraft is also really nice. The aircraft has a retractable landing gear and a 300 horsepower engine running at a maximum of 2700 RPMs. It is also modeled with all working circuit breakers, and you are also able to trigger some failures with the EFB. And here on the wing you can see some of the low textures I was talking about, and that is also really visible when looking at the fuel cap, for example. Apart from that, the windows, for example, are looking really nice with some scratch marks, and the attention to details like this knife on the side there for the pilot, for example, makes a great touch. So the flight today over to San Diego I will do in VR with my Pimax Crystal Light. So I will head over to my VR headset and crop and zoom the image so that it fits this video. And I hope you enjoy the flight. Alright, so welcome over to the cockpit, and as you can see we have an onboard EFB with some basic functionality. You can close and open the canopy, turn on some smoke if it works, and you can also toggle some failures. And it is also here you toggle on and off the chocks and pitot covers, and there is an option to show the co-pilot in the backseat. And you also have the options to choose from working title GTN 430 or the TDS GTN 650, which we will be using today. And you can also choose to use the PMS 50 GTN 650. So we'll start with removing the ground chocks and the pitot cover. Make sure our GPS of choice is selected. And you also have some other options here like a map and a basic autopilot, but we will not use that today because this aircraft doesn't have an autopilot, so therefore I don't use it. And on the last page here you got some info on current times in the aircraft and which version you are on. When we are finished with the EFB, we can toggle it on and off with this little button here labeled EFB. so we can stow it away and get access to the instruments on our aircraft. And apart from our flight instruments, every other labels in this aircraft are in French, since this is a French-built aircraft. But you'll manage, I bet, because I learned how to do it, so can you. So the magneto, for example, the D is for right and the G is for left, and I won't even start to pronounce it in French because I don't speak French. Okay, so checking our aileron trim, our elevator trim and our yaw trim or rudder trim. Checking that the prop lever is full forward, and so with the mixture and the throttle we are going to crack open for 1 centimeter. And then we can turn on our master battery switch and our anti-collision lights. Also check that the fuel lever is in the forward and open position. Check our surroundings so there are nobody around, and clear prop. And then we set our magneto switch to D plus G, which equals both. And then we hit our start button and keep it pressed until the engine is fully started. So there is a good start, and then we check our RPMs and adjust it to 1000 RPMs. And we also check our oil pressure and our oil temperature, and also our cylinder head temperature. We also have an EGT, exhaust gas temperature, and of course the fuel tanks indicator. Then we can turn our alternator on and guard it. And we turn on the on switch for the artificial horizon. So it's on. And also the avionics master 2 on, so our instruments are booting up. And since we are going to fly IFR today, we also turn on the nav lights and start up the GPS unit and click through the startup screens. And turn on our transponder and set the default code of 2000 for IFR flying. And our COM1 is set to 122.8, so this GNS unit here is nav1 radio and COM1. And over here you also have COM2, and if you click this button then you get nav2. So we're gonna set up our flight plan. So we depart today from John Wayne, and then our routing is Oceanside VOR. And from there we load the airway Victor 23, and the exit waypoint is the Mission Bay VOR Mike Zulu Bravo. There it is, choose that and load. From Mission Bay we are entering in our destination, which is Kilo Sierra Delta Mike, which is Brown Municipal or Brown Field. And we are going to depart John Wayne, roll procedure, departure, and we are going to depart via the Mussel 8 departure to Mosul, no, to Oceanside. Load procedure and check it. So we're going to intercept the sleeve VOR radial 118. So we'll have to set that up. So the Mussel 8 departure, it says climb heading 196, so we're gonna bug that. Fly heading 196 or ISNA south course to 1 DME, or the Seal Beach VOR radial 118. So that is the one we're gonna use. So we can use that in nav 2. So change over to nav, and then we are setting the Seal Beach VOR, which is 115.7. 115.7 active. And radial was 118. So we are not receiving Seal Beach VOR just yet, but once we are airborne, we should receive it right away. So let's see, there is 120 and 2 back, 118. Okay, back to text view. Climb heading 196, set to Seal Beach radial 118, set, then left heading 177 for vectors to Mosul, then on transition or assigned routes. Expect filed altitude 10 minutes after departure. So today we are going to fly at 5,000 feet. So we are going to depart. We are going to commence a left turn to heading 177 once we reach Seal Beach radial 118. Then to Mosul, and then we're going to use the GPS as primary navigation source from Mosul to Oceanside, then the Victor 23 airway to Mission Bay VOR, and from Mission Bay VOR we are going to commence the VOR Alpha into Brownfield. So Mission Bay, then we can descend to 4,000. From Haley we can descend to 2,400 before Finley, and then down to 1,380 before Seclu, and then down to our minimums, which is today 1,140. If we are VMC when we arrive at the airport, we can see that the airport elevation is 526 feet. So that would make circuit altitude 1,500, and the runway 26 right is right traffic. I checked that on SkyVector. So if we are VMC, we are not going to descend all the way down to 1,140, but we're gonna stop at circuit altitude, which is 1,500. And then make a right traffic for 26 right. All the altitudes you see here with the underline beneath the number indicates that it's at or above. So we are good all the way, as long as we don't descend below those, but we don't have to be exactly on that number. So no problem to descend, to stop our descent at 1500 and then commence the right traffic and land 26 right. So we're gonna fly on GPS all the way to Mission Bay and all the way to Haley, and from there we are, since this is a VOR alpha approach, we have to be using the VOR as navigation source and not the GPS. So at Haley we are going to intercept, and the Poggy VOR inbound course at 156 and down to 1500 at Seklu, and right traffic, as I said, to runway 26 right. The minimum safe altitude sectors from where we are coming in is 4800 up in the northwestern sector, and in the southwestern it's 3000. And if we have to go mist from the Poggy VOR, then you can see if we were to fly to the east, it will be rather high terrain. So the mist approach is a right turn, climbing right turn to 4000 to Mission Bay Warthog and hold on the inbound course of 256 at 4000 feet to keep us away from this high terrain on the east side of Brownfield. Okay, so that is the plan. We have set up the departure and we have set up the GPS. So as we fly along, the things we have to keep in mind is to tune the different VORs that we use and set the inbound course for the approach. So we're gonna keep the GPS unit in GPS mode, and then we're gonna use the nav2 with the nav2 HSI as our ground-based navigation. Alright, briefing is complete, so now we can taxi over to the tower run-up for our run-up, and as we can see, the temperature are well above in the green arc, both the fuel temperature and the both the oil temperature and the cylinder head temperature. So that is good. Going to turn on the fuel pump and switch over to the right tank, and then fuel pump off. And we go into close this or keep it. We can let's see. We can make it a bit smaller and keep it down by our feet for reference. Alright, so runway 26 is behind us, so we are going to taxi over there. So hold the brakes, park brake off, taxi lights on, that's over here, and then start our taxi to tower run up. Parking brake on, taxi lights off, and every instrument is as expected and in the green, so setting RPM to 2000. And everything still in the green. Checking the left magneto. And the limit is not below, not a drop higher than 175, so that looks good. Back to both. Increase. Then our right magneto. And dropping about the same, a little bit less, but within 50 RPMs different on those two, so that's good. Back to both. And everything still stable, and then throttle to idle, and check that the engine doesn't quit on us. So that looks good. Back up to 1000. And continue taxi to the 26 right. Sorry, the 20 right. Taxi light on and start taxi. So we're going to depart 20 right from intersection Kilo. So Kilo coming up, right turn. Make a stop, parking brake on. And transponder in alt, landing lights on, pitot heats on, instruments good. So line up, and we set flaps to 15 degrees. Okay, so full power, and we are going to rotate at 75. And aim for 110 for the climb out, up to 5000. Tap the brakes, gear up. Keeping an eye on our heading and also the Seal Beach VOR, radial 118, which is alive and coming in. Okay, so we are crossing the radial there, left turn, heading 177. And then you can set a direct to muzzle, activates, and follow the GPS. So we're going to reduce our RPM to 750 on the manifold pressure and 2450 on the RPM, thereabouts. And then we can trim a little bit and lean our mixture, watching the EGT and leaning to peak EGT. There we are. We have leaned our mixture. Power is set, and we are cruising along to waypoint muzzle. Then left turn to Oceanside VOR. Okay, so we are approaching the Mission Bay VOR, and as I said, from there we can descend to 4,000 feet. So we can start to prepare our approach. So we can tune the PEGI VOR TACAN, which is 116.45. We can plug that in to our nav2. So let's see here, 116.45, and fly the airplane again, maintain our heading towards Mission Bay VOR. There we are. Okay, and the final approach course is 156. So we're going to tune that in to HSI for the VOR-A2. So there is 1, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is set. So then we are flying on GPS to Mission Bay. And then descend to 4,000 feet inbound to Haley. Or Hale, and then intercept the PEGI inbound 156, and from Hale we can descend to 2,400, and after after Finley we can descend to 1,350, But as I said, if we are visual with the field, we don't descend below 1500, because that is the circuit altitude for runway 26 right. So going up on 1.5 mile. So see if the Nav2 radial there, it comes to life. And then turning to 156. And we can start our descent to 2400. Okay, 1 mile to go to Seclu, so we can descend down to our chosen minimums of 1500, as we are starting to get visual with the airfield. There on our 12 o'clock, just behind those little ridge there, is the brownfield municipal. So increasing our mixture back to rich and reducing our power. Turning the fuel pump on, switching tank to the right one, and there we have the field, so we can start our downwind for our right traffic 26 right. Okay, in the white arc, flap down, gear down, and start our base turn. Starting turn to final. There is a parallel runway 26 left, so we are going to have a slight dogleg here, just to make sure not to get in the conflict with 26 left traffic. So keeping in 90 knots and flap down. So flap is 25, gear is down, fuel pump on, mixture rich, and everything in the green, and fuel on fullest tank. Okay, so trying to make a smooth landing. There is quite a way up to the taxiway where we turn off the runway, so we can make a bit of a long landing to reduce the taxi time. So there we are, power to idle. Looking further down, maintaining pitch. And lowering the nose. And keep flying the aircraft all the way to a full stop. Applying a bit of brake. And then turning off here. And make sure no traffic on the other runway. So checking that, looks clear, so we're gonna cross, and then we're going to clean up the aircraft after we have crossed also this runway here. So there we are, so flaps up, fuel pump off, lights to taxi, and pitot heats off. Okay, so we are going to taxi over to the apron and park our aircrafts. Perfect. Parking brake on, taxi lights off, avionics master off, horizon off, and the alternator off, mixture to cut off, and magnetos to off. Now lights off, anti-collision lights off, fuel to cut off, and battery off. Alright, welcome to San Diego and Brownfield, and I really hope you enjoyed the flight in the TB-30 Epsilon. We flew here with all manual controls all the time and no autopilot, and as you can see the aircraft flies really well, and I think it is also really easy to trim. So thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you again sometime soon. Bye!